Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry and its Health and Fitness Committee, we welcome all of you today to the second session under the series of Get Fit with IMC that we launched early this month. Under this session, the second session, we are focusing on oral health and dental hygiene topic. We have a guest, Dr. Kavita Bhatt Kumar, who will be our guest for the evening addressing pertinent questions. The moderator will be Dr. Mukesh Batra, and they will basically take you over the session just to lay some ground rules. Please keep your phone on mute and stop the video streaming for some time so that you can have a seamless experience of the event without any disturbance. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Joseph Rakiwala. Mr. Joseph Rakiwala, he is the chairman of the Health and Fitness Committee of IMC and also the vice president of IMC for the year 2020 and 21. Mr. Purakiwala, please take over from now.
Sir, just a minute, sir. Just a minute before you take over, 1 minute. Yes, sir. Yeah, over to you, Mr. Purakiwala.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a special welcome to Dr. Kavita Bhatt Kumar on this program. On behalf of IMC's Health and Fitness Committee, I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the second session under the series Get Fit with the IMC. This series will focus on many health and fitness related topics and issues. The objective is to bring a holistic view on various topics that will help you maintain a good work-life balance. Today the topic is on oral health and dental care. Many of you may not be aware, but many systemic diseases begin with the mouth. Even heart disease is linked with gum disease, and therefore a healthy mouth is a reflection indeed of a very healthy body. Unfortunately, many of us neglect oral health, especially in the current scenario where a dentist office can mean creating aerosol environment which can cause transmission of the germs and virus. Hence, in the past 6 months, for many people world over, visiting a dentist or an orthodontist has become a challenge and hence being neglected. With today's session, we hope to put to rest any doubts you may have and answer any pertinent questions you may have toward maintaining oral hygiene. With this few words, I would like to call upon Dr. Mukesh Batra, Chair Emeritus of Dr. Batra's Positive Health Clinic. He is also the co-chair of our IMC's Health and Fitness Committee. A brief introduction of Dr. Batra. He is a homeopath of international repute. He is the founder chairman of Dr. Batra's Group, the world's first and largest homeopathy corporate. In a career spanning over 4 decades, Dr. Batra has treated over 1 million patients, including presidents, prime ministers, and prominent film personalities, and revolutionized the way homeopathy is practiced today. He has been honored with several fellowships and over 50 national and international awards, including the Padma Shri, one of India's highest civilian honors. Without further delay, I'll call upon Dr. Batra to take this session forward. Over to you, Dr. Mukesh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juza, for your wonderful, wonderful introduction. It's always wonderful to have friends to introduce you, because they always say something good about you. Thank you, Juza. And let me welcome Dr. Kavita Bhatt Kumar.
Thank
a short
you.
introduction of Dr. Kumar. Dr. Kumar is the founder of Designer Smiles Multi-Speciality Dental Care Clinics located at Vilepale East. She has a career which spans in dentistry, which spans over 25 years. And she has also done a very advanced course and special training in soft tissue and hard tissue lasers from the University of Bonn in Germany. I'm sure with a great experience, we would have a very fruitful discussion today. She also has, great community service initiatives as well. And she's conducted various health awareness workshops across the city in corporates, colleges, schools, and old age homes. So let me just welcome Dr. Kumar, and let me start with a little kind of, a dentist joke, doctor, just to, ease in the conversation a little bit. What did the dentist say to Tiger Woods? And the answer is, you have a hole in one. So let me start with, the first and the commonest problem with which patients normally go to dentists, and that is cavities. What are common causes of cavities? How do you avoid them? Could you please answer that?
So what happens is when we eat food, when we chew food, there is a continuous film called as plaque. It's a biofilm which keeps forming on the tooth. Now there are bacteria in this biofilm. The bacteria, along with the sugars that we consume, the sugary and the starchy food that we eat, they react and they form acids and they attack the tooth. Repeated such acid attacks gives rise to decay. And you will be surprised, the decay, the onset of decay, the first signs of decay, the tooth looks white in color. It becomes white and not brown or black. So a regular visit to the dentist will ensure that you can get your cavities detected early on, even before they start giving you symptoms.
And most people come to a dentist when they have pain.
Only when they have pain. Only when they have pain. And by the time the patient starts getting symptoms of pain or any kind of discomfort, it is usually too late.
So it's always good to come early and also good to have preventive checkups.
Yes, preventive checkups go a very, very long way in oral health. And most of the dental problems and the problems can be treated, can be detected early and can be 100% prevented, 100%, just by visiting a dentist regularly.
Let me ask you a little bit about another very basic thing as far as teeth are concerned. We moved now from dantuns to, electronic toothbrushes.
Right.
So what is really the right way to brush your teeth? How long should you brush your teeth? Because, I know people who brush it for 20 minutes and I know people who brush it for, just spit it out. So what is the right way to brush your teeth? What is the right time? When do you brush your teeth?
Yeah, brushing your teeth is very, very essential to remove this biofilm called plaque, which I just mentioned. So brushing must be done at least twice a day. In certain cases, we recommend even thrice a day. Always use a soft bristled toothbrush with a small head because it should be able to reach even the back, the teeth which are posterior most in your mouth. Many times, even for adults, we recommend a pediatric toothbrush because their mouth opening is small and they are not able to clean all the teeth right till the back with a regular adult toothbrush. So that's the first thing, the choice of a toothbrush. It's okay to not go for all these fancy zigzag and the colored bristles and all these different kind of fancy toothbrushes that are available in the market. Just use any any good brand soft bristled small headed toothbrush. Secondly, start brushing from the back teeth. Use gentle to and fro vibratory strokes. Keep the brush at about 45-degree angle between the teeth and the gums and gently slide it down while brushing it to and fro in a horizontal motion. Short brisk strokes covering just 2 or 3 teeth at a time. The chewing surfaces you can just scrub. So this is a very very basic way of brushing your teeth.
How long? Because a lot of people are not sure about the timing. And
yeah, so if you brush this way and you must give at least 10 to 12 strokes every 2 to 3, covering every 2 to 3 teeth at a time. So together it shouldn't take more than 2 to 3 minutes for you to brush your entire set of teeth. Along with brushing, also make sure that you clean your tongue every day. And one more thing I would like to say is do not brush your teeth immediately after your meals. After your meals, what happens is there is some kind of an acid production in the mouth. And then if you brush your teeth, it can erode the enamel because of the acids. So wait for some time, wait for at least about half an hour for the mouth to become neutralized and then brush your teeth. Do not keep your toothbrush in the bathroom. because there can be a lot of contamination. Always keep your toothbrush covered, never keep it in the bathroom, especially when you flush the commode. There's a lot of aerosol which can contaminate your toothbrush. Keep it enclosed and keep it away from the bathroom. Third thing I would like to say is always change your toothbrush after any kind of infection that you may have, like a viral flu or any such infection. Please change your toothbrush.
Very interesting and useful, doctor. I think, very basic, but very, very useful information. And I think a lot of us actually need to look at it and follow it very seriously. We're talking about teeth now. So, a related question with that is really about, toothpaste and, mouthwash. So is there anything that you'd like to recommend in terms of what is kind of the best toothpaste to use, and what is the kind of, and is a mouthwash required, not required, and if so, how often does one use it?
Okay. So where toothpaste is concerned, you may use any toothpaste of a good brand. As long as it contains fluoride, I do not have any special favorite. You can use any brand, but it has to contain fluoride. The only important ingredient, in my personal opinion, in a toothpaste is the fluoride content, because fluoride is a mineral which forms a protective covering on the teeth. So it helps to guard against cavities. So that is important. Otherwise, the toothpaste doesn't as such have a special role, other than maybe just creating that feeling of freshness, fresh breath in your mouth. Other than that, it doesn't have any special role. So you may use any toothpaste from a good company and ensure that it has got fluoride content. Some patients require certain special medicated toothpastes, but that is under the recommendation, after the recommendation of their dentist. Maybe in some cases we recommend a desensitizing toothpaste. For children we recommend children below 3 years, we recommend toothpaste without fluoride content, because they tend to swallow the toothpaste. So if you have children who are less than 4 years of age or less than 3 years of age, give them a toothpaste, children's toothpaste which does not contain fluoride.
Also, you can get fluorosis if you take extra fluoride in your body. So
yes, you can get fluorosis, and too much of fluoride in your diet or in your water is not good. A lot of places in our country have got very huge fluoride content in the drinking water. So that leads to fluorosed enamel or fluorosis of the enamel, some whitish, brownish stains on the enamel which do not go away. They stay there lifetime. So yeah.
What about mouthwashes?
Mouthwashes, I would not recommend routinely. Mouthwashes should be, I do not recommend that people should just go over the counter and just pick up any mouthwash. There are mouthwashes meant for specific purposes. So your dentist is the best person to tell you whether you require a mouthwash, and if yes, which one to use. Like for example, if you have a lot of gum disease or gingivitis, a lot of plaque formation, he might recommend some antibacterial mouthwash like chlorhexidine. If you have a lot of caries or cavities in your mouth and a tendency to develop a lot of cavities despite brushing and maintaining oral hygiene very well, then he might recommend a fluoride mouthwash for you. If you have sensitive teeth, he might recommend a desensitizing mouthwash. Immediately post surgery, we recommend betadine mouthwash. So there are different types of mouthwashes meant for specific reasons. So those have to be had only after the advice of your dentist.
Talking about wisdom teeth, do they really have any wisdom?
No.
Because, we have cases of impacted molars, and
right.
Very often they are routinely taken off or extracted.
Yes.
Some comments on this from you.
Yes. Wisdom teeth, as man evolved, the jaws started becoming smaller in size and could not accommodate the wisdom teeth. So now the wisdom teeth are actually not used for chewing. We do not require the wisdom teeth for chewing. We can chew very well even without the wisdom teeth. You can call them as extra or unwanted teeth. They were required at one time when the jaw sizes were bigger. The type of diet that man consumed was different from what we consume today. So they were required at that time. But today we do not require wisdom teeth. And generally what happens is because they cannot fit into the jaws, they tend to not erupt properly. They erupt either they do not erupt straight. They come out from the cheek or towards the tongue, or they are sleeping, and they can cause a lot of problems. They can cause a lot of pain in the ear, pain in the neck, pain in the head. they get decayed because you're not able to reach there and clean them. Because they are tilted, you're not able to clean them properly, so they tend to get decayed. And because of that, your good teeth, which are next to the wisdom teeth, can also get decayed. So you might lose your good teeth trying to save your wisdom teeth. So there is wisdom in removing the wisdom teeth.
Interesting. Thank you. Mr. Korakiwala spoke about, gums and how they can lead to even heart problems, gum disorders. So let me now, ask you a little bit about what I call gum kafasana. It's really about gums and not about sadness or sorrow. But, things like gingivitis, bleeding gums, pyorrhea, they can actually lead to a lot of problems. So could you just let us know a little bit about why it is so important to look after gums and how does one take care of gum care?
Gum health is absolutely very, very, very important, as Dr. Korakiwala pointed out. And gum disease has been directly linked with heart disease, with diabetes, with a lot of systemic diseases, right from Alzheimer's to low birth weight babies, preterm babies, and all of that. Lot of problems are associated directly with gum disease. So it's very important to take care of your gums right from the beginning. And gum disease is also 100% preventable, provided you visit your dentist in time. And usually gum disease starts with gingivitis. Gingivitis happens when the plaque that accumulates on your teeth continuously is not removed properly, and it starts accumulating under the gums. Now this plaque, it hardens to form tartar. And this tartar is a hard plaque which can be removed only with a dentist's ultrasonic scaler. So it is very important to treat this. It is a foundation of the tooth. Not only will you lose the tooth, but it can directly be linked to your cardiovascular system, your diabetes, a host of other issues.
So from the gums, let's now go a little deeper into oral cavity, and oral health is very, very important as well. I have seen in my practice lots of kind of precancerous patients, leukoplakia, white patches, sometimes because of, close bite, in the cheek, sometimes of course because of use of tobacco. And I think and these are a lot of things which if caught in time, they can actually be treated very well. So I think it's very important also to look after oral health and oral hygiene.
Absolutely.
Could you give us an insight on this as well?
Absolutely. Many times oral cancers are first detected in the dental clinic. Oral cancers many times begin as white or red lesions or precancerous lesions or precancerous conditions like leukoplakia. And like you rightly said, because of smoking, because of other chewable tobacco habits, excessive alcohol, maybe the presence of a sharp tooth, a lot of causative factors could be there. And oral cancer is one of the 3 most commonest cancers in Asia. So if detected early, we can save a lot of lives. So a regular visit to the clinic is also an indirect way of screening your mouth of all these precancerous lesions or precancerous conditions.
Yes, I remember, in one of the states, southern states in India, women used to actually take tobacco, with the lit end on the other mouth, and to
Yes. With the lid, I forget the name. They used to call it something, and they used to actually light it and keep it burning inside the mouth.
Yeah, I know. So that's so dangerous, and there was so much of oral cancer in women over there at that time.
Yes, right.
Let me now come to a little bit about how do you keep safe during COVID? Because first I'm going to talk about the doctor, your staff, and your family. Are you at risk? How do you prevent yourself? And later on, I'll come to talk about the patient. So let's first talk about the doctors. I mean, how do you keep safe, especially during COVID time?
First of all, we try to do a teleconsultation and find out if the patient's need is urgent and how severe it is. So in order to do that, we can, we do some kind of a teleconsulting initially. We screen the patients by asking them questions, like whether they have been in contact with any COVID positive patient, or whether they have been positive in the last 1 month, whether they have been home quarantined, whether they have traveled out of the city. All these kind of questions we first ask them to ensure that we are able to screen them. And we do not treat anybody without appointments. We take patients only by appointments, strictly, no walk-in patients. We, to protect ourselves, we wear all the CITRA approved PPE, the mask, the face shield, all of that. And we try to reduce the viral load in the patient by asking them to rinse their mouth with chlorhexidine and povidone iodine, a combination of the two. So that gives us, so it brings down the viral load immediately, and the effect stays for about 1 to 2 hours. So that gives us a good window of 1 to 2 hours to treat them. And if at all we require a larger window, we can always repeat the rinsing. So this is what we do. In between the patients, in order to keep the environment clean, we sanitize and we disinfect in a very meticulous way using the 3-bucket technique. We mop all the horizontal surfaces and the floor with first with quaternary ammonium compounds, then with plain water, and then with sodium hypochlorite. So this ensures that all the viruses that would have probably settled down on the horizontal surfaces or the floor get killed immediately. Also, we leave sufficient gap in between the patients. We do not allow anybody to wait in the reception area. We do not we do not encourage patients to bring any accompanying persons so as to reduce the crowding in the reception area. So these are broadly some of the measures we take.
So you've answered my next question also already of how do you take care of patient safety. A related question to that is about the use of aerosols.
Okay, there's a big hype about these aerosols. Aerosols are of 3 types. Even as I'm talking, when we speak, when we laugh, sing, there are aerosols released from the mouth. That's one type of aerosol. The other type of aerosol is the medical aerosols, which are very dangerous because they arise from direct manipulation of the respiratory tract. The dental aerosols, on the other hand, are mainly water. They do not come from the respiratory tract. These aerosols are generated because there is a continuous flushing of water in the cavity that we are preparing or wherever we are using the drill as a coolant. So we use these water sprays. So the dental aerosols consist primarily, about 95 to 99% of it is water, and there might be a small content of saliva. So by using some disinfectant agents in the water lines, we can completely or significantly reduce the effectiveness of the viruses, bacteria, or all the microbes that are there in that little bit of saliva which might be flying around in the dental aerosol. Also, very, very importantly, and the most effective way is by using powerful suctioning devices in the patient's mouth to suck out all the aerosols. And by using certain other equipment like rubber dam. Rubber dam is like a rubber sheet. So it isolates the tooth which we need to treat. And it sort of keeps all the saliva and the rest of the tissues away from that tooth. So we just treat that tooth and it separates that tooth from the rest of the mouth. So again, that considerably reduces the contamination.
So it's safe to visit your dentist even during COVID times. It's safe to visit your dentist as long as you take precautions. And
yes,
also if you ignore it, maybe you could land up with a more difficult problem.
With the graver problems. Absolutely, absolutely. Because a vaccine is nowhere in sight in the very near future. Even if a vaccine is approved today, it's going to take a long time for it to reach all of us. So we cannot defer our dental problems or our oral healthcare issues indefinitely, because those will lead to more graver or more serious problems for our health. So definitely, where all precautions are taken, it is pretty safe to visit your dentist now.
Let me, first of all, thank all our people who've kind of, tuning in now. And many of them are actually, congratulating you for a very informative and useful program. So we have Zarna, who's, says it's very, very, very informative, very useful. We have Swati, who says great information and tips, Dr. Kavita. We have BG Bharve, who says useful and informative, Dr. Kavita ji.
Thank you.
And I think we now also invite questions from anybody else who would like to ask questions. Please put them on the chat. We'll be happy to take them. We have a question from Tushar, who asks, what are the causes of bad breath other than the social discomfort? Is it a sign of something else in terms of patient health? So he's really talking about halitosis, which is medically called halitosis. And yes, there are many reasons for it, but I leave you to answer that.
Yeah. So, very good question. Halitosis, the first thing we look at is the oral health. And if all the dental problems and all the gum issues are sorted, if everything is sorted, then there could be a lot of systemic causes. Like for example, if in diabetics, if the sugar is very high, it can lead to something called as ketone breath, because the diabetics go into ketoacidosis if the sugar is very high. So that's one cause. Rheumatoid or arthritis, cardiovascular disease, Sjogren's syndrome. These are some of the systemic disease which can lead to bad breath. There could be some problem with your digestive system also, which can lead to bad breath. There are a host of systemic diseases which could lead to bad breath. Apart from maybe medications that you may be using, that is also a very big cause of bad breath. And of course, the first and foremost cause is poor oral hygiene. So if that is ruled out, then it could be due to a host of systemic problems, and that needs evaluation by a physician.
Yeah, and you really need to go to the root of the problem.
Yes, you need to treat the cause.
It's not just superficial. There can be lots of deep medical issues, and you need to get them treated.
Yes,
like you mentioned, diabetes being one of them.
Yes.
Also, Ankit is asking a question of how to get rid of smell in the mouth after you eat if you can't brush your teeth immediately after having food.
How to get rid of smell in the mouth?
Yeah, after eating, if you're not allowed to brush your teeth.
Yeah, so rinsing after every meal is very, very important. So if you are able to rinse well, then I don't think there should be a problem. Sometimes if you're not very meticulous with your oral hygiene, if you have a lot of plaque, a lot of tartar accumulation, if you have not done your professional cleaning with your dentist, then you tend to have bad breath even after you rinse your mouth. So that needs to actually be evaluated by your dentist. A very quick short-term solution would be to use a breath spray. That is only, let's say if you are going for a party or going out somewhere immediately and you need some quick fix, but that is not something I would recommend routinely. You must evaluate, go to a dentist and get yourself evaluated if even after rinsing well you still suffer from bad breath. Of course, there are some odor causing foods like onion and garlic. So the odor causing substances, they enter the bloodstream, and those cannot be removed even if you brush your teeth, because the directly from your bloodstream. So that will take about 24 hours to leave your body.
Okay, how do you another question that is related is the use of toothpicks. Is it useful, not useful? I mean, actually it can cause some damage also. And also, how do you floss your teeth? Is that something good to do?
Flossing is not just recommended, it is mandatory. Flossing is mandatory. If you have a choice between brushing and flossing, I would definitely take flossing. So flossing, the in-between portions of the teeth, they need to be clean, because plaque accumulates even there, and all your cavities and gum disease, it begins from there. The toothbrush is able to clean only the outer and inner portions of the teeth. They are not able to reach the in-between parts of the teeth. So those you have to clean by using dental floss. Where toothpicks are concerned, if you have to use a toothpick to take out the food that is getting lodged, probably your gums have receded, probably you have some other issue, maybe there is a cavity, so that needs to be evaluated. But in any case, if you have gaps in between teeth, if you have gaps under the bridges or next to the caps, or if you have any such problem, please use a Proxa brush instead of a toothpick. Proxa brushes are very useful and they are very effective. They are like small, you must have seen bottle brushes, the brushes with which we clean the bottle. So it is the same mechanism. They are small, tiny brushes which you can even carry in your pocket with you, and you can use them to clean the in-between portions of the teeth where there is gap. So that's very effective. Please do not use a toothpick because it can do a lot of harm.
So Bharat Raut asked a question here. He says, if you have dental caps with advancement in age, gums shrink and gaps are created, something, so he says, is a water flosser useful? And could one use it once a week or how often?
You could use a water flosser. Water flosser we recommend in areas, like you rightly said, in areas where probably you cannot floss, you cannot, your brush is not effective enough to reach there and remove all the plaque. So water flosser is basically a high-speed jet of water which might sometimes be used with a proper mouthwash, and it is just sprayed on those surfaces to just clean out or dislodge all the debris, and you can then rinse it off. So water flossers definitely can be used in such cases.
Bala Morgan is asking a question on oil pulling. Would you recommend it?
Oil pulling is an age-old Ayurvedic tradition where coconut oil or any such oil is used, in the mouth to swish in the mouth for some time and then washed out. So it is supposed to improve gum health. It is supposed to pull all the bacteria and improve gum health. However, I do not belong to that branch of medicine. So I am not the right person to answer that. There are a lot of studies and research going on oil pulling, especially coconut oil pulling. It is there are very big studies going on, but nothing conclusive has been proven as yet by modern science. It is an age-old Ayurvedic tradition, I know, but nothing conclusive has been proven yet by modern science.
So if you like to do it, you can do it.
You may do it. You may do it. I don't think it is harmful.
And it helps some people. So
yes, if it helps you, definitely go ahead.
Why not try it? A related question also is about clove oil. A lot of people believe that it's very good for toothaches. Your comments on that?
Yes, clove oil has got an obtundant property, so it definitely relieves toothaches. Many toothaches, not all of them. But that is again not a permanent solution. As a stopgap arrangement or as first aid, you may use it and then see your dentist immediately, because that is not going to solve the problem. It is just going to give you some symptomatic relief for some time.
Let me now come to, by the time we have more questions coming in, let me come to two kind of extremes of ages. And let me, ask you something about children and their teeth, and about, senior citizens and their teeth and gum problems. So let's start with children. What are the commonest problems that you find with children? Also, some of them, I found in my practice, lots of them are mouth breathers, and so they get infected very easily. That's one very common problem. And a related question with this, which somebody's asked, is what is the alternative to braces for children? Is there any alternative to braces?
Alternative to braces, you do have invisible braces nowadays. So they are called as aligners. So they are not strictly braces. They are a different form of orthodontic treatment where the teeth are moved with the help of some devices called as aligners, which are clear and transparent. So they are not visible in the mouth. But not all cases can be treated effectively with aligners. In some cases, they can be treated very effectively. In some cases, you have to use a traditional braces.
And what about common problems of children?
The commonest problem is cavities. Cavities and tooth decay are the commonest problems. That is because, especially because children, especially today, are used to eating a lot of junk food. They are not very particular about rinsing their mouth after every meal. They eat a lot of sticky and starchy food. Many times they do not brush properly or correctly. And that is the reason they have a lot of cavities, and strict supervising and guidance for brushing correctly, rinsing mouth, and following meticulous oral hygiene at home must be inculcated right from the childhood.
So we have a very interesting question from Kajal Thadani, especially with the COVID area, that we are facing these days. How does wearing a mask for an extended period affect our breath and the teeth, since we keep breathing the same exhaled air?
It might not, it actually depends on what type of mask you're using. If you're using masks which seal your face, like the N95 respirators, we actually do not call them masks, we call them respirators. So these respirators can, cause some kind of suffocation, because you tend to inhale your own carbon dioxide. But it doesn't do any harm to the teeth. Nothing that has been documented so far. Even if you breathe your own carbon dioxide, there is no documentation of any harm caused to the oral health.
Great. Dipali asks, should one use salt water gargle every day?
It's a good practice. Salt is a very good antiseptic, natural antiseptic. So it's a good practice. If you can do it, it's good.
Nidhi asks, should children also floss and from which age?
Children should start flossing from the time they are able to floss. The earlier, the better. The earlier you teach them to floss, the better they will imbibe the quality in them. So it is better to start early and teach children to floss as well. But you need to be careful, because in very small children, the parent must floss the child's teeth. They must not give the child to floss their own teeth. In case of small children, once they're big enough to floss on their own without causing any injury to their gums, they should be made to floss on their own. So that could be 5 years, 7 years. It would depend on the child. Some children till the age of 8, 9, the parents may have to floss. And some children might be able to floss by themselves from the age of maybe 6 or 7 without any injury to the gums.
Jamini Thanawala asks, is interdental brush good to use every day?
Yeah, it is good if you have gaps in between your teeth, or if you are having bridges. So to remove the food which is lodged under the bridges, and they're also called as Proxa brush, and I have already mentioned earlier. It is the same as interdental brush, and you must use in areas where there are gaps.
Kajal asks, is there a substitute for flossing? And there's another question that is coming through, quite often here, which is, how do you strengthen your gums? Is there something like a gum massage which one can do?
Gum massage is not going to strengthen your gums. The only way to keep your gums, the gums are not going to get stronger than what they are. The only way to retain your gums in a healthy condition is by regular brushing, flossing, rinsing after every meal, and visiting your dentist and getting a professional cleaning done at least once in 6 months. That is the only way to keep your gums healthy.
Let's come back to
gum massage. We recommend if there is a for specific cases, if there is an issue, there are different types of gum ointments and massages available. We recommend that after a thorough evaluation. It is not recommended routinely for everyone.
Another question from Nidhi is, are sealants a good option to avoid cavities?
Sealants are done in small children because the teeth, the back teeth, especially the posterior teeth, they have a lot of crevices where food gets lodged, and the brush is not able to remove the debris, and they tend to get decayed. Those areas tend to lodge bacteria, and they tend to get decayed. So that is why these materials called as sealants are put in those crevices, and these crevices are smoothened so that this food doesn't get stuck there and cavities do not form. So it's a good idea. It is generally done in case of children.
Let me come to the other part that we missed, because we spoke about children. What about senior citizens? I'm saying, what are the common problems that senior citizens have? Is it safe for them to move out, especially if they have comorbidities at this time during COVID? And how would you advise them to deal with their problems?
Okay. So the most common problems of senior citizens are gum issues, poor gum health, and loss of teeth. So a lot of senior citizens probably are not able to chew food, so they probably require some kind of replacement of tooth, like implant or bridge or dentures. So if they have been deferring that, then they must surely go.
Your take on implants, how safe are they? And how easy is it to do it? And would you recommend it for people who need it?
Yeah, for people who need it, definitely. I do not see any strong reason to not recommend it during COVID, because it's very, as you know, it is very important to build your immunity, to have a healthy and a balanced diet. So being able to chew comfortably with your teeth is very, very critical, whether it is for a senior citizen or a child. So if somebody has lost their teeth and an implant or implants have been planned, then there is no reason they should defer it. And it is absolutely safe if all the precautions and all the stringent protocol that is recommended by the regulatory bodies is followed in the clinic. Everything is safe.
Miller Mehta asks that, he's come across few companies in developed countries where they have now switched over to tooth powders over toothpaste. Your take?
I do not see any difference in the two. Like I said, the agent with which you brush your teeth, be it a toothpaste or a tooth powder, is not really important. The mechanism of cleansing happens only with the toothbrush and not the toothpaste. Toothpaste and tooth powders are used for their fluoride content and maybe to get a feeling of fresh breath or freshness. That is all the role they have.
So you already addressed this, but there's also Sapna asking that is an electric brush better than a regular brush?
It's not that an electric brush is better. If you are able to manage cleaning your teeth well using the right technique with the right toothbrush, even without an electric brush, you can do an equally good job. But yes, electric brush is also a very good option because the number of the motion or the speed at which the brush rotates or vibrates is very high, and therefore there is a very good cleansing effect with it. So electric brush, there are of two types, rotary and sonic brushes. So either of them you can use.
Before we close now, I'd like to ask you a few tips on home care, especially during COVID time. What are the things that people should do at home? And especially if they move out and then they come back, is there something that, some kind of a routine that they should follow as far as oral health is concerned? Your comments on this.
So everyone must follow meticulous oral hygiene at home. Now that means you have to brush your teeth very regularly. You have to floss your teeth at least once a day. You have to use Proxa brushes or interdental brushes to clean in between the teeth and under the bridges, under the caps. Especially if you have dentures, bridges, caps, you need to be very careful. You must rinse after every meal. Tongue cleaning is also very important. Along with the teeth, you need to clean your tongue, the side of the cheeks as well, because even that accumulates a lot of, plaque accumulates even on those surfaces. So these are broadly the things which you need to follow so that you can avoid or delay your dental problems. And you must definitely visit your dentist for routine care. There is no reason why not to visit your dentist now for routine care, because oral health problems can be detected very early and can be very easily prevented. So if you do not do that, then you are in for more trouble, bigger problems and systemic problems as well as dental problems. You would require more cumbersome treatment. It would also burn a hole in your pocket, and it would also take away a lot of your time. So better to take care at home. Also, I would like to add here that if there is anybody in your house who is suspected COVID positive case or known COVID positive case, then it is a good idea to use for the patient to use chlorhexidine mouthwash, chlorhexidine gluconate 2%. The brand name is Periogard or Hexidine. There are other brands also available in the market. So you can use this mouthwash, after an interval of 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours. So this helps to reduce the viral load in the mouth. So when this person is speaking, the contamination would be much lesser when this person is speaking or talking or laughing. So it would help to reduce the viral load in the mouth to a large extent.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. I'm saying time has just flown. And, we still have questions pouring in because, people are so interested in knowing what they can do about their gums and teeth. So we have the last 5 minutes now. But we will try to take as many questions as we can because we don't want to deprive people of knowledge and the ability to kind of treat themselves, and to help themselves, as far as health and fitness is concerned, because that is the purpose of this IMC program. I think Chitra wants to know, and we, can't end without asking a question from Chitra or without answering it. So Chitra wants to know, what are the kind of emergencies or kind of problems for which patients should not sit at home in spite of COVID?
I would say at this stage, if you had asked me this question in the month of March, I would have said probably move out of your house only if you have severe pain or infection. But at this stage, I would say if there is anything that is coming in the way of normal chewing, swallowing, taste, speaking, or smiling confidently without pain and discomfort, I think you must address it.
A question from Maya: is chewing gum harmful to the teeth?
It is not harmful to the teeth. If it is sugar-free, then in fact, it is very good for the muscles, and it also helps to increase the production of saliva. And saliva is very good for oral health because it washes away all the plaque and it helps to keep the teeth clean. So chewing gum, in fact, is a very good habit.
As long as it's sugar free.
as long as it is sugar free. Yeah.
So we have another person asking how to remove stains from smoking. And I suppose he means, you know, I mean, one way to do it, of course, is to stop smoking. But
Yes.
how to remove stains from smoking?
Well, that is the best way to do it, by not smoking. But the stains from smoking can only be removed by your dentist with the help of the ultrasonic scaling device. That is the only way the smoking stains can get removed. So you cannot. There is nothing that you can do at home
So we have
except
Jaydeep,
not smoke.
we have Jaydeep and Jims and Suvarna and many, many others thanking us for this wonderful and informative session. So let me close also by thanking you, Dr. Kumar. It's been a
Pleasure to sit here in front of you, Dr. Batra, Dr. Khorakiwala, and the entire team of IMC. And I hope whatever I shared was useful.
It was very, very useful, and you came across very confidently, very smartly, very well. And you know, we are glad that we could benefit from your domain knowledge, which came across so freely and so easily.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure that everybody found it extremely useful. Thank you for your time.
It means a lot coming from you, sir.
On behalf of IMC, I must thank you for your time. I know that you have your patience to attend and I can see you, you know, all dressed in your uniform.
Yeah, I'm in my clinic right now.
In your clinic as well. So thank you for the time. And
Pleasure, sir.
I'd also like to thank the IMC for this opportunity, and also each and every one of the participants. We've had a record number of some 79 participants, and we are very thankful to them for having listened in and for having joined this program. I hope that all of you could benefit from programs like this, and thank you for being a part of this. And please, please always remember, stay healthy, stay fit. Thank you.
I would also especially like to thank Mrs. Smita Lele for attending this session. She's my guru, she's my teacher. So namaskar to her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Selby, you want to shut now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mukesh. Thank you, Dr. Bhatt. It's been a lovely session. On behalf of IMC, also again, I must thank both of you as well. Thank you so much. It was so nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, doctors. That was a very nice and interactive session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Kavita. Thank you, Dr. Batra.
Thank you.
And thank you for all participants for attending this session. Thank you.